Hey everybody, welcome back to the Envelop podcast. I'm your host, Eugene Crypto MC. We are still trying to explore the DAO realm, how DAO works, how the world works with DAO. Do you need to join the DAO or you don't need to join at all? That's why we are inviting great people who are building DAOs by their hands and minds and talk to them to know more about that. So welcome, please, my today's guest is an awesome guy. His name is Brandon O'Neill. He is the Sombra founding developer and project lead, and Sombra is the first multi-chain NFT metaverse content DAO aiming to help artists and brands get started with NFTs. So Brandon, thanks for joining me. Am I correct with your announcing? Should we need to add something for your title?
No, that's fine. It's all good.
Okay, so I'd love to start with the story because it's very important why somebody had joined crypto industry a couple of years ago. So tell us briefly your story in crypto world. How did you get into the blockchain industry? What were your main incentives to do that?
Sure. Yeah. I actually didn't know much about cryptocurrency, until around 2015. And I work in the visual effects industry primarily by trade. That's where we came from. We are, top level visual effects artists. We generally work on, broadcast and brand level commercial work for, Super Bowl, for, all sorts of different brands like Nike, Adidas, Samsung, Best Buy, whatever it is, it just depends. But I was working at an ad agency, and some people were talking about crypto in a room, and I went in there and I didn't know what it was. And whenever I don't understand something, I always like to ask a lot of questions and annoy everybody. And so I asked a lot of questions and I started learning about it, and it was just really interesting to me. And I kept learning, and I got a Coinbase account, and it all started there. That was 2015. Since then, we've just been following the news, following the trends, following the ups and the downs, all sorts of craziness that's been going on in the crypto world, on the technical side, on the, legal side, on the financial side, all the sorts of things. So it's been a pretty amazing world. And then, being a visual effects artist, somebody that has access to a lot of artists, a lot of people on our staff, a lot of amazing Hollywood, credits and people that we work with, we just sort of started thinking like maybe there's an avenue for NFTs to be popular with visual effects artists. And we started thinking about, how we could make a, NFT project, and sort of Sombra was born from there. The DAO concept, I think, was born from the fact that we want people that put money into a project to be able to, have control over it to an extent. And we want them to be able to, be building something for the community, not for a group of developers and for a team. We don't really like the concept of teams, having all these tokens and, trying to take lots of, money from the project for personal reasons and things like that. We really want to build something that can help us not only build our brands and other companies, but also help the community. We want the community to gain a lot from this. We want the community to have a place to go, friends to make, benefits and rewards to be given and to be, gained. So I think that the concept of a DAO is an important one when you're going about it like this, just because you're asking people to sort of participate in your project and in your ecosystem. And, without giving back to them, I don't really think that there's a reason they should do that.
Excellent. So, I didn't plan to ask that question, but I should ask this. Is visual side, visualization in general, important for all Web3 realm, especially for DAOs, because you are so experienced in visualization, and I'm pretty loud at that. So visual side.
I think so. I think visualization is super important. I mean, Block 3 has been historically a bit of an underdeveloped area with visuals, design, motion graphics, all sorts of things like that. It's very, very bare bones. The quality level is kind of bad. I think that over time that will change, but even with a lot of the NFTs that you're seeing these days, there's still a lot of quality that can be increased and improved. And I think with Web3, there's been more focus on that DApp side, that technical side, that building of the infrastructure, that there hasn't been as much focus on how it's presented and how it looks and how it's built as a brand. So I think that with the popularity of Web3, NFTs coming to the forefront of, commonplace media and, consumer bases, there's going to be opportunities for people to really elevate their brands, to the same level of, places like, gaming companies and, visual effects companies and, other companies that we're familiar with that do great work with presentation of their media. So that is going to become important, I think, especially as the bubble within the crypto world starts to really take place. A lot of projects that don't have utility, don't have proper planning, don't have infrastructure, they're going to die, they're going to fall away, they're going to disappear. And the only projects that are really going to be left are the ones that have, these proper mechanisms for creating and really developing their brands. And one of those mechanisms is certainly going to be visualization and, quality appearance, not only for your brand, but also for the work and the products that you're putting out.
Well, there are two main projects you are mentioning, and the first is Bonfire, and the second is Sombra. Could you please explain what are they, what do they do, how do they contribute to the world, and how do they relate it each one to another?
Sure, yeah. Bonfire is a award-winning visual effects company out of New York City. We have about 20 employees. I founded that company with my wife in 2016. We've grown pretty substantially to, a multi-million-dollar company, and Bonfire itself is not a crypto company. It does not have a token. It does not have any type of, NFT marketplace. Bonfire is specifically just a visual effects company that does top-level work. We do real-time visual effects, regular traditional visual effects, photoreal CG, all sorts of different types of things. That company was the foundation and is sort of like the fuel behind Sombra. Sombra is, a content DAO, a creation DAO for the community and for the people. It's driven by, the principles at Bonfire, in the sense that, there always has to be central leadership, at least in the beginning of a DAO creation, before it can become fully autonomous. It is sort of a paradox of a DAO in and of itself. But that said, it is important that, we have this really great foundation to be able to push this brand, to build it. If we didn't have Bonfire helping us and collaborating with us, it would be a much harder task to tap into the brands, because I already have this company and these client relationships such as, NFL and, Best Buy and all sorts of different, people. It's much easier for us as Sombra to then have those conversations with those clients and those brands and explain to them how NFTs work and how the metaverse works, and then onboard them in a way to the metaverse. And that also helps, the DAO, because while it's helping build the Bonfire brand in our company, it's also helping build projects within the DAO and the NFT community. It's helping build awareness to Sombra. It's helping, bring more members and users to the project and helping us grow the community, I think, at a very quick rate.
You mentioned a very interesting phrase, content DAO. What does it mean? How do you explain that? And how did you come up with the idea of Sombra? And what problems does Sombra aim to solve?
Can you repeat that? I apologize. It cut out for one quick second.
So you've said, great phrase, I love it. Content DAO. Content DAO sounds pretty interesting. Better than content for NFT. How did you come up with idea of Sombra? Is Sombra a social network, or maybe something else? How it works? What problems does it aim to solve? More details about Sombra, because quite complex project, as I do see.
Well, from the social perspective, I think the social aspect is mainly community building. We are building a community around, a utility token, as well as, a gaming ecosystem, an avatar NFT ecosystem of collectibles and, tradable sort of, fun things. What does it aim to solve? I think Sombra aims to solve a few problems. One is safety and security of, projects. A lot of DAOs have been scams. A lot of people have stolen money. There's a lot of bad people in the industry, especially now. So I think that establishing a project with protocols of safety, of honesty and transparency is important. And I think that there aren't a lot of projects doing that. That's one really important aspect for us, is that we really want our community to be told the truth. We want people to know what's going on. We are obviously very strategic with certain things in terms of how we build the company, but we always are honest with our community. And that's really important. And even though sometimes it's not always the best for hype. We find that at the end of the day, it always does build a much better community, a stronger community, and a a better end result, not only for product, but also for the token itself. So it's a long-term game for us, I think. The other projects problems that we're trying to solve, I think, are the modularity of the cryptocurrency and NFT space. There's a lot of projects and different things that are happening all over the place, and they're all happening in different places, different areas. They're not really connected. Nobody really communicates with each other. There's no centralized location to really communicate about these things. And I guess in the true sense of decentralized finance and decentralized, kind of activities and communities, that makes sense. But without creating a sense of regulation or a sense of, rules, there does need to be a place where people can come together and at least communicate and share their common experiences about their, work on projects with developers, with visual effects companies, for NFTs, for all sorts of different things that are happening in the world of cryptocurrency and NFTs. Jobs that people are looking for, people that are hiring. Like, there's just no place where people can go and sort of like have those conversations and know that there's going to be a level of reputableness to kind of come away from there. It's hard to hire people without knowing if they're actually good at what they do. There's no review processes in place for things like developers or for things like artists. So I think Sombra is aiming to kind of bring awareness to a lot of these things, and over time kind of become a place where people can congregate to sort of get that information, to use Sombra as a social platform for learning about cryptocurrency and NFTs, and also just a place to come and hang out and meet friends and hang out.
Okay, could you please explain how Sombra works in general?
Sure. Sombra is an NFT marketplace where people can come and sign up and mint NFTs, buy NFTs, trade NFTs, collect NFTs. Sombra is also a content DAO that creates visual effects content and NFTs. We create, currently we're creating a large scale NFT project called Sins of Shadow, which is a play to earn video game and avatar NFT ecosystem. Sombra works basically by building a community, creating top level content, selling that top level content as collectibles and NFTs, then giving a portion of that revenue back to the community, and then cyclically building that project up over time so that people can enjoy it, use it together, continue to buy and collect other things, and also over time potentially trade and kind of pick up new other NFTs along the way. Gotcha.
How do you explain especially for non-crypto people, what is DAO and why did you choose the DAO framework, especially for Sombra?
Well, decentralized autonomous organization is what a DAO is. Excuse me. DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. So a DAO, the reason we chose the DAO structure was because, we're not trying to offer shares in a company. We're not trying to offer, a security of any kind. We're trying to create an ecosystem and a community basically that participates within this game and within this NFT, marketplace. And with that, it's important that we're not taking ownership of the project specifically as a development team or as, as a developer or a leader myself. It's important that we're really putting efforts in to give it back to the community, to allow them to really benefit and to gain from it in a multiple ways.
Oh, excellent. Do you see, or another way I'll ask you, how do you see the pros and cons of DAO, the positive and negative sides of that form of cooperation?
Well, I think that as a DAO, it can be tricky because you do have to go through your community for a lot of things, and you have to make sure that people are comfortable. You have to deal with a lot of education because as you ask those questions and you explain things to your community, there are a lot of people that maybe don't understand, and it is important that they understand those things. Otherwise, they can get upset, or there can be FUD or problems. And also, you want your community to understand in general. You don't want people participating that don't understand. That's very dangerous. So I think that we do strive very hard to like make sure that people are, you know, fully aware, fully educated, fully kind of like immersed. And that is obviously the hardest part of running a DAO, is managing the community and making sure that the community is, you know, where they need to be in order to make the right decisions. That's the hardest part. And it is very, very complicated. But with that, there also comes a level of trust that you get from the community. That's also very helpful. You know, when you make decisions or you need to, you know, tell people things that they may or may not like about how you need to make a change, or if there's something that needs to happen, there's a lot more kind of personalization and communication with the community that allows us to sort of have more of a personal rapport and say, listen, like, this is where we're at, this is what we need to do. And it just makes the conversation a little bit easier. And we're able to sort of like, you know, have them be our team players versus like, you know, looking for something from us constantly.
Is it hard to involve creative people who are right side of the brand thinkers? They're not logical. Is it hard to onboard them, to involve them into the sort of difficult Web3 realm? What are the problems of involving such a kind of people?
I don't think so. I think that the creative minds have been very easily integrated. I don't think that most of them have had a hard time. I do not find it harder to get them onboarded than anyone else. And I think that in general, people in the world of cryptocurrency that are in the world of art generally have a fairly high technical understanding, and they're able to kind of jump in faster than most other people, I think. So I think that the artists are actually onboarding quicker than probably most other people. And I think that they generally have a pretty good understanding about how to do it. There are, of course, artists that need help, that need education, that need sort of a hand holding to not be afraid. But, you know, that's sort of the way it is for everybody.
That sounds quite optimistic. I love it. So is Sombra a multi-chain project? And why it is a multi-chain?
It is, yeah. We are currently on Polygon and on Binance Smart Chain. It's a multi-chain project because diversification is important for any organization or any project to stay strong and to make sure that you're, you know, not putting all your eggs in one basket. You know, the same is true for running any company, for making any kind of like financial decision. You know, even in respects to a personal and an individual basis, having diversification for revenue and for all sorts of things is very important. So for us, you know, diversification in an emerging space is very, very important, because we don't know how cryptocurrency or NFT technology will land in the next 5 years. So we could very easily spend quite a lot of money or time or energy in one thing that doesn't end up becoming popular, and that's very bad. So you want to make sure that you're diversifying. You want to make sure that you're on different blockchains. Polygon, we think, is going to have a really amazing 2022 year. We have some great partnerships with them and some great conversations going with them. So those types of conversations and things are, you know, obviously very paramount to the growth of the project. Being on a multi-chain gives you the best of both worlds in a lot of respects. You obviously have to be careful about not diluting your project and to not make your, you know, token stretch too far. But, you know, you have to be careful economically. You have to, you know, think through those things. And, you know, as long as you do that, then you're good.
Oh, because the DAO first and foremost is the community. These are people. So how do you prefer to manage the community, to create community? What sort of tools do you use to community management of Sombra, and how to grow the community? Any life hacks from your side?
Yeah, I mean, we use Telegram and Discord, and we use, you know, Twitter, obviously, quite a lot. LinkedIn is becoming a huge platform for us. You know, it's really becoming quite, you know, an important thing. We really oftentimes, you know, are meeting a lot of great new people on LinkedIn, you know, each week that are becoming great collaborators in the project moving forward. So that's really quite exciting. And I think that, you know, we're going to be seeing a lot of that happening. The professional world is really starting to merge with the NFT world and the crypto world. And I think LinkedIn is going to be a big platform for that. It has a lot more verifiability that I think helps people kind of feel more comfortable within that world of, you know, crypto and NFTs. So I think, you know, that's going to be a big thing over the next, you know, year. And I think that it's going to be a big player for sure.
Well, you mentioned to help people to learn about Web3, and this is the great question, great starting points of Web3, start to learn about that. How to learn effectively about Web3? What are your favorite resources about Web3? Could you recommend?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that obviously LinkedIn is becoming a great resource. Like I said, there's a lot of great groups on LinkedIn. The NFT community group that we've started is a great place to go to get resources. You can post up in there and people will come and, talk to you and chat with you, and you can really, find a lot of great information. Other great places, whether I can't recommend that Twitter is necessarily always the best place, but I can say that there is some great information that will come off of there. You definitely have to sift through a lot of bad information, but you can really stay up to date occasionally with things on Twitter, which can be helpful, but obviously it is a little frustrating sometimes. But other than that, reading other publications about, what's going on in the news is really important. Staying up to date with different governments and understanding what's happening in those countries for regulatory things is really important. Understanding copyright law and understanding things like that about what's happening within the NFT world is really important as well. Coin Bureau, Cointelegraph, they do some, nice publications about different things that are pretty interesting. Going on to Google even and just typing in, what it is that you're interested in looking for and understanding and learning about. And then just going to different publication resources and finding those is also a really great place. It's a little hard right now to give a definitive place for where you would want to find that information, because there are so many places and not all of them are reputable. But, the longstanding ones, Cointelegraph, Coin Bureau, things like that are helpful. Certain YouTube channels are helpful, but obviously very few of them. It just depends really on what your prerogative is, but there are great resources all over the place. We're always helpful. We're always happy to give people specifics based on what they're looking for, but we also try not to give people blanket statements about where to go and find that information, because there is so much misinformation right now. And I think that that's starting to get weeded out and changed, but it is the Wild West still.
Well, I did not find the dates on the Sombra's roadmap I found on your website, on the stages. Could you please explain where is Sombra on its roadmap now? What are Sombra's plans for 2022? And especially, are you maybe hiring or acquiring some human resources, some staff?
Sure. The roadmap right now is headed into phase 2. We didn't put dates on there because the roadmap as a DAO is certainly a tentative roadmap. We're not able to necessarily always give super specific dates on things, because in the technology world, things shift and change. Blockchains make their own decisions. There's just a lot of variables and volatility that goes around. So it's almost impossible, we found, to give very definitive dates. We generally give definitive dates much closer towards those timeframes so that people can kind of have a better understanding when we are sure that we can kind of reach those timeframes. But right now, yeah, we're headed into phase 2, and we are, really excited about that. And we think, that we are going to be able to move quickly through that one and get into phase 3 within the next few months. I think that, over the next year, we're going to sort of see where things end up, especially after our phase 1 avatar launch. That's a big indicator for, where next steps go. And in terms of hiring, yeah, we definitely actually are. We're looking currently for a front-end developer to support the team a little bit, as well as somebody that's capable of managing Morales database servers and React API hooks. So that's going to be a supporting member that we're actually putting some jobs up for now. We put a job post up on LinkedIn, I think earlier today, but we will be making some other announcements about that. We're growing, which is quite exciting, but it is obviously a difficult thing to find these quality developers. So we're starting that journey again today for a new role. Gratefully, we have a lot of amazing developers already on staff, but if you know anybody, let me know.
Well, you might have known that top management persons from Web2 giants such as Google, YouTube, Facebook are leaving their companies for Web3. This is a big trend for for this year. And how do you think why they do what they do, and how Web3 as a powerful tool will drastically change the world business landscape in upcoming, let's say, 10 years?
Well, I mean, Web3 is going to definitely take over a lot of things. I don't know if it will be the only thing, but I think that Web2 and Web3 will work together quite closely. And I think Web3 will become a very important player for monitoring transactions, for, maintaining data and information, for, distributing royalties and rewards and payments and all sorts of things to community members, and especially within the music industry and ownership of, rights of art and things like that. I think that the NFT technology, the smart contracts that are being developed around how to implement actions in the real world is really where all of the, utilization will be. And then how people build organizations and ideas around the concept of a smart contract that can be implemented in a secure and safe way with trackable data, that's fully verifiable and immutable. So, I mean, I think that with that type of a technology, there are inevitably a million ways that it can be implemented into the modern infrastructure, whether it's supply chain management, whether it's, data streaming management, whether it's, sharing of bandwidth, such as what Theta and Filecoin and other tokens like that do, whether it's the, dissemination of, news information, whether it's, verifying reviews for companies or for, automakers or for, a babysitter even. Like, there are a million ways that the technology can be implemented into modern society all across the board. In almost every single industry, including cars and automotives, and how you distribute, the features to your vehicle can be done through NFT contracts and technology. How people subscribe to Netflix can be done through NFT technology and Web3. All of it can be done through Web3 technology. And the benefit, of course, is saying, oh, well, why would you change it from Web2 to Web3? Well, if you can suddenly track all this information, you can suddenly start getting statistics about this information in a different way. You can start to see where the money is going and how it's transferring. Like, you suddenly get a lot more data first and foremost, but then you also are getting access to a whole nother world of understanding when it comes to like these consumers. And so I think NFT technology and blockchain technology is going to become a main part of every company and how it does business. And in a big way, it's going to help automate, I think, a lot of processes and tracking of data and keeping track of information for these companies. And it's also going to create opportunities for them to basically, give really safe and secure ways to, transfer content, products, ownership of things, and even more. So I think that over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a big change and a shift into the world of Web3 for corporations, not just metaverse and, video game stuff. It's going to be, supply chain. It's going to be like Deloitte. It's going to be, every major corporation is going to have an aspect of blockchain attached to it.
Well, I love your way of thinking. And now finally, it's time to final thoughts, the call to actions and so on and so forth. Who would you be happy to see as the members of the Sombra community? What's the best way to follow Sombra or join Sombra online?
Yeah. The Discord is a great place, as well as the Telegram, to join up. We generally also put information up on Twitter and on our LinkedIn page if you're interested in following us there. You can follow me on LinkedIn as well if you want to stay up to date with what we post there. And even if you want to have a personal chat with me, we always, are very keen to talk to people and get to know you. Other than that, we, just recommend that you, read up on all of the Medium articles and look at the website and take a look at, where we are headed and what the project has in store. And I think that from there, you'll get a great understanding and, just jump into the chats, talk to the admins, talk to me and talk to the team members and, just get involved a little bit and take it day by day. Don't go too hard, too fast.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. Brandon O'Neill, the Bonfire Sombra. He has a lot of titles. Just visit his LinkedIn and find all the information about him. All the links are in the description. So please like, share, subscribe, join the Web3 movement. It is inevitable. It will change our lives like it never was before. The train is just starting from the station. You have time to jump, not in the last wagon, but in the first wagon. Thank you very much, Brandon O'Neill, Eugene Crypto MC. Over to you. Thank you for watching and listening. Stay tuned for next episodes of the DAO Envelop podcast. Bye-bye.